delude myself for a moment, so just humor me. I would like to think that there's some exec over at Beiersdorf who one night could not sleep, bless their soul. They thought to themselves, oh my gosh, am I gonna make my train tomorrow? They were petrified about some big CEO type problem. Should I do an ASMR video? No, the nail tapping is not it. And they're like, oh, Dr. Dray, whenever we want to fall asleep, those videos are where it's at. And they came across my video lamenting about the fact that at the time, and I want to say this was around maybe late summer 2024, I was complaining, as I often do, about the fact that Eucerin seemed to be gatekeeping Thiamidol, an amazing cosmetic ingredient for dark spots, hyperpigmentation, melasma, that at the time of the video was not that commonly encountered in products in the US market. I think La Prairie had some insanely expensive cream with it, but those of you in Europe, you know, you've been dabbling in the Thiamidol arts for quite some time. Well, my fellow Americans, wait no further, because Eucerin, ladies and gentlemen, has dropped their Radiant Tone line. Sounds like a workout plan, but it is skincare products with, yeah, Thiamidol, now on Amazonian, Ulta, woohoo! What the heck is Thiamidol anyway, you over-enthusiastic nut? You're probably asking yourself. Thiamidol is a cosmetic ingredient, okay? It's not a prescription drug, it's a cosmetic ingredient. It is a tyrosinase inhibitor. Tyrosinase is the enzyme necessary for melanin pigment production, and many dark spot correcting ingredients work by inhibiting this enzyme, but Thiamidol is particularly robust at doing so. In contrast to many other cosmetic ingredients, there is some decent research, clinical research, okay, on actual human beings, not mice, not cells in a dish, actual human beings, demonstrating the efficacy of Thiamidol for hyperpigmentation. What flavors of hyperpigmentation? Well, the beast of all beasts, melasma, post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which is fancy speak for dark spots left over after like a pimple heals or a bug bite goes away, anything that caused inflammation in the skin. People with deeper skin tones can often leave behind a dark stain, a dark mark. It's very stubborn to fade. Thiamidol shows promise, and also for helping to calm down, clear up, and possibly even prevent sun-induced discoloration, dark spots from too much sun exposure. Good news about Thiamidol, it has also been tested clinically in patients who have deeper skin tones and been shown to be safe and effective. Now, the gold standard dark spot correcting ingredient is prescription hydroquinone. I've got a lot of videos on hydroquinone, the nuances behind it, okay? So check those videos out. But you'll recall that hydroquinone cannot be used indefinitely long-term due to potential adverse effects. When it comes to taking a break from hydroquinone, then the discussion becomes, well, what are you going to use instead? So this might be an option for the what to use instead. Importantly, Thiamidol is pretty well tolerated. In the clinical studies that we have, there aren't really any significant, serious, concerning adverse effects. The main adverse effects that cause people to bail on using it are it can cause a contact dermatitis. As with anything that we put on the skin, the possibility of becoming allergic to it is there. It has happened to patients using this ingredient and has caused them to have to stop using it, because once you become allergic to something, your skin is not going to allow you to use it moving forward unless you just want to be in the house of pain, and I don't recommend that. The other thing about Thiamidol, a lot of patients report that it feels a little itchy. Their skin is just kind of got a little itch, a little tingle when they use it. But otherwise, pretty well tolerated. Doesn't appear to increase photosensitivity, although that's not something that's been robustly studied. We don't have pregnancy safety data on it. The doses that have been examined in clinical studies range from 0.1 to 0.2% as in terms of what has been shown to be effective. I'm telling you that, but keep in mind, Thiamidol, it's a cosmetic ingredient. It's not a prescription drug. Because it's a cosmetic ingredient, brands are not required to tell you what the percentage of Thiamidol in the product is. How often do you need to use it? Studies show efficacy using it twice daily. Some patients used it 4 times a day. Using it up to 4 times a day seems to perhaps yield better results than twice daily, but twice daily is a lot more doable because it's kind of difficult to put on creams 4 times a day. Now, of course, with any type of pursuing this path of correction, you have to have sun protection. Ooh, I made a rhyme there. When it comes to hyperpigmentation, that that is just a given. Sunscreen, sun protective clothing. I mean, you're doing yourself a huge disservice if you attempt to tackle dark spots, hyperpigmentation, without addressing the sun protection piece of things. These things can't really do you any favors without that. That being said, Thiamidol appears to actually help hyperpigmentation from worsening related to sun exposure. So it seems to not only help it to clear up, but to prevent it from worsening, provided sun protection is also used. Importantly, there's no rebound worsening hyperpigmentation with it. Depending on the type of hyperpigmentation that you have, you likely need to continue using it in order to maintain the benefit. For example, if you find that it has helped your melasma, there's a good chance that if you completely stop using it, the melasma, as is often the case with melasma because it is annoying like that, it will come back. They have a serum, they have a day cream with sunscreen, which again, super important. They have a night cream without sunscreen. The night cream versus the dual serum, it's like, that seems unnecessary to have the two. You could have just had the one, in my opinion. There's also, of course, an eye cream, and there's a cleanser without Thiamidol. And we'll talk about the cleanser towards the end of the video because I have some things to say about the cleanser that you don't want to miss. Just like I complained about in my video on the Eucerin products with Thiamidol from the European market, they have put fragrance in these, and the fragrance is very strong and it lingers. Okay, so for example, it's in the dual serum, it's in the SPF 30 day cream, and it's in the night cream, and it lingers. It's very strong, it's very perfumey, it's very flowery, so keep that in mind. And I really hate that they did that because fragrance can be irritating. I find it, when it's this strong, I find it gives me a headache, and I know that's the case for a lot of people. And it is a relatively common allergen, especially in skincare products. And if it causes irritation or you're allergic to it, not only is that going to limit your ability to tolerate using it, and you'll likely bail on it, but it can worsen hyperpigmentation. So I am not a fan of that aspect of many of these. The fragrance aside, these products also have a compound from licorice root, which is good for calming down inflammation, helpful for redness, and can also help with hyperpigmentation. Importantly, many of you guys will rejoice in this fact, these products do not have niacinamide. Now, I love niacinamide, and for dark spots, it's amazing and actually could complement Thiamidol. Why? Niacinamide is not a tyrosinase inhibitor, but rather it gets in the way of the transfer of little pigment packets to neighboring cells. So it has a complementary additional mechanism beyond what Thiamidol is doing, and in theory, if used together, you might get better results, but I don't have a clinical trial to present you with to back that up. It's just, knowing what we know about tackling dark spots, oftentimes using different ingredients that tackle different arms of the pathways can get better results. But nonetheless, some people find niacinamide irritates their skin, causes stinging, burning, irritation, which again, anything that causes irritation will worsen hyperpigmentation, and I'll be darned, finding niacinamide free anything has become challenging. So good news for those of you who are niacinamide sensitive, it is not in these. Let's talk about the SPF 30 day cream. The SPF 30 day cream is a logical addition because, like I said, you need a sunscreen. It's a chemical sunscreen, no white cast, but it does have that strong fragrance. Night cream versus the dual serum, again, I don't really see the purpose of having these two. You could just use one of these and use it multiple times a day. Do you really need two separate products? Now, the night cream does have a little bit of a slightly different, somewhat richer texture, but they both have the strong fragrance, which for me and my experience using these does linger and is quite off-putting. Speaking of the fragrance, one of the things I noticed about the day cream is the fragrance is a little bit off. Like it's strong, but it almost has this fishy metallic scent, taste, feel to it. The other thing I've noticed about these products, and it could be the Thiamidol or it could be related to the fragrance, is that they have a cooling effect on my skin. It feels like there's a little bit of cooling sensation to the skin, a little bit of a tingle as well. So that's just something I've experienced using these. Now, one thing that you're going to be surprised about coming from me is let's talk about the eye cream, because the eye cream is actually where it's at. I know. They made the eye cream for people who are motivated to look for things to help correct dark circles, which, if you've watched my videos on dark circles, could be an epic waste of your time, because dark circles oftentimes are not related to melanin pigment. They're related to the shape of your eye socket, your anatomy, the underlying underlying blood vessels that you can see more visibly, and perhaps some inflammation that has caused blood to leak out in the surrounding skin, break down, and lead to discoloration. So a tyrosinase inhibitor may not do anything for your dark circles, most likely. Now, a tyrosinase inhibitor like Thiamidol could help with dark spots around the eyes that are related to sun exposure, sunspots. They could help with post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation around the eyes. Say you had some sort of eyelid eczema and you had a bunch of rubbing, it resulted in post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Yeah, the Thiamidol likely could help. But just keep that in mind. If you are motivated to choose a product to help with your dark circles, many of them are not going to do squat, okay? Because they're not going to change the anatomy around your eyes. Check out my video on dark circles. I break it down. I go over what causes dark circles and the different modes of addressing them, all right? But for many of you with dark circles, the eye cream is actually not going to do squat for your dark circles other than moisturize the surface of the skin. That being said, I will draw your attention to the fact that the eye cream does not have fragrance. There's no odor to the eye cream whatsoever. It is a richer texture. It has shea butter in it in contrast to the serum. And I have to say, if you are like me and you don't want that strong fragrance, it's irritating to you, it's off-putting, it gives you a headache, then maybe consider the eye cream, which is annoying because you're obviously going to be getting less product for your money. But I will say that the eye cream does have nice spread on the skin. You can get a thin layer without needing to use very much. That might be one way to incorporate Thiamidol while avoiding that strong fragrance that the other products have. But like I said at the beginning of the video, these are cosmetics. They're not prescription drugs. The brand is not required to tell you anything about how much Thiamidol is actually in there. I know you can't figure it out by the order it appears on the ingredient list, okay? We've been over that before. But I say that because what if they put Thiamidol at a really, really low overall percentage, which may be potentially effective to delicate eyelid skin, but on thicker cheek skin, maybe it's not going to be as robust. But I do think if you're motivated by Thiamidol and you're looking for a fragrance-free option, the eye cream is what's offering that, because the products that I encountered from the European market all have the same strong fragrance, okay? It's the same hit you in the face fragrance, all right? But the eye cream doesn't have that. And there's no odor to the eye cream. There's no funk to the eye cream. And it's comfortable to wear. It's nice. It's moisturizing. One more thing I want to point out before I get into the cleanser is these products do have denatured alcohol in them, which freaks a lot of people out. It's a good ingredient, especially in these, because it can help with better penetration of, say, the Thiamidol, and it allows for the formulas to not maybe feel greasy on the skin. By itself, this ingredient could be drying. It could be drying, but the formulas are overall balanced out with moisturizing ingredients, so that's not the case here. Don't be afraid of denatured alcohol. It's a great ingredient, important for proper formulation. All right, the last thing I want to talk about has nothing to do with Thiamidol. It's the cleanser, because the cleanser is gonna fly under the radar if you are not dialed in. If you are not dialed in, this is gonna zoom by you. And I already know there are people in my audience who are not gonna watch this video who would click well with this cleanser, which is a shame, okay? It's a shame, but people think certain videos are not gonna apply to them. They pass them by and then they're just left in the dark. Yeah, this cleansing gel, it is a fragrance-free cleansing gel, duh. And I like gel cleansers. That's a personal preference. I really like them. But it has lactic acid and glycolic acid, which are alpha hydroxy acids that help to soften and exfoliate dry, rough skin, which if you use this cleanser before applying any of these Thiamidol products, it likely will help them penetrate better, more evenly, by helping to slough off any surface, rough, dry, built up stuff. And with consistent use may help improve skin smoothness, gently exfoliate the skin, and honestly, with ongoing use, provided again you tolerate it, can also help lift up and hasten the clearance of hyperpigmentation up in the epidermis. All great things. An alpha hydroxy acid cleanser like this, though, for people who didn't think this video applied to them, those of you who are on your high horse being like, oh yeah, that Radiant Tone line is just, I'm above that. Well, listen, what if you have keratosis pilaris, rough and bumpy skin? Alpha hydroxy acids can really help that out, and this cleanser might be a great way to start. And yes, alpha hydroxy acids in a cleanser can still be effective even though you rinse cleanser off because of something known as coacervation, which is something the formulators take advantage of when making cleansers, and that it allows for deposition of these ingredients behind on the skin so that they can be effective and don't just get rinsed off. The cleansing gel also would be great great for people who shave their face because it could help, in theory, in reducing ingrown hairs before shaving. It will help slough off dry, rough skin texture that would otherwise trap the hairs and make you more prone to ingrown hairs and shave irritation. It's gentle though to do that, to exfoliate and smooth, as opposed to, I caution against using some sort of mechanical scrub before you shave because that can be too much and lead to razor burn. This can give you just enough to soften that dry built up stuff, hydrate up the hair shafts so that they're easier to cut, and ultimately could help reduce ingrown hair formation. That being said, cleansers with exfoliating acids, they can dry the eyelids. So be careful using this around the eyelids because the skin there is more delicate, more vulnerable to dryness and irritation. But I have been loving this cleanser. And another thing I'll point out is we have a ton of options when it comes to salicylic acid cleansers. Not an alpha hydroxy acid, but rather salicylic acid's a little different in that it's great for blackheads, whiteheads. It really localizes well in the pore, down within the pore. It's great not only for blackheads and whiteheads, but it's also great for hyperpigmentation as well. But say you are bored of salicylic acid, there's also room for alpha hydroxy acids in a cleanser. I find that the alpha hydroxy acid cleansers can also be effective, but not as easy to come by, especially in the drugstore market. So this one is great. In summary, Thiamidol. It's a cosmetic ingredient for hyperpigmentation that can actually work. We have products now in the US that aren't just that expensive La Prairie thing. These products that have fragrance, it's strong. It can be irritating to use fragrance on the face, and that can aggravate hyperpigmentation. But the eye cream doesn't have a fragrance. I might suggest that if you're intrigued by Thiamidol and dabbling in it, and you want to avoid fragrance. And the cleansing gel is an underrated alpha hydroxy acid cleanser. Sunscreen is a must when using any of these, because as a reminder, alpha hydroxy acids, they do make you a little bit more sensitive to the sun. And of course, if you are hoping to improve hyperpigmentation, what are you doing if you're not doing good sun protection? Let me know in the comments, had this hit your radar or were you blithely unaware of it? I did drop a little YouTube short teaser the other day or yesterday, depending on when this video and that video go live. I'm not quite sure as of the filming of this video, but nonetheless, a short has been dropped teasing this content, so you probably are in the know unless you're one of those who just skips over the shorts. If you skip over the shorts, well, you're going to be more in the dark than you need to be, okay? You could have already been in the know here. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.